Being a Premier League referee is not for the faint-hearted. It's a job that comes with immense pressure, constant scrutiny, and oftentimes a lack of appreciation. For most people, refereeing in one of the world's most popular and high-profile football leagues sounds like a dream. However, for those who actually find themselves on the pitch, it quickly becomes apparent that this job is anything but glamorous. In fact, it's one of the toughest and most thankless roles in sports. Let's dive into the various reasons why being a Premier League referee is a job that truly sucks. The unrelenting pressure. One of the biggest challenges a Premier League referee faces is the immense pressure to make split-second decisions that can affect the outcome of a game. With tens of thousands of fans in the stadium, millions watching on television, and the intense media scrutiny, every move a referee makes is closely watched and dissected. In a sport where emotions run high, a single wrong decision can lead to accusations of bias, incompetence, or even corruption. For referees, every call is magnified. Whether it's a handball, an offside, or a controversial foul, the entire football world holds its breath, waiting for the referee's decision. If that decision is wrong, the backlash is swift and severe. On the other hand, if the referee gets it right, they rarely receive praise. The best-case scenario is that they are ignored, while the worst-case scenario involves being vilified by fans, players, coaches, and even pundits. Constant criticism from players and coaches. Referees have to deal with constant abuse from players and coaches. In the heat of the moment, players often lose control of their tempers and direct verbal abuse toward referees. The language used can be profane, aggressive, and at times completely disrespectful. Unfortunately, the Premier League is no exception to this behavior. Referees are regularly on the receiving end of foul-mouthed tirades from players who feel hard done by. Moreover, coaches don't make the situation any easier. They often criticize referees during post-match interviews, even when the referee's decisions were completely justified. Managers are under intense pressure to deliver results, and blaming the referee for a loss or a poor performance is an easy way to deflect attention from their own team's shortcomings. As a result, referees find themselves in the awkward position of being the scapegoat for problems they didn't cause. The media frenzy. The media is another formidable adversary for Premier League referees. The nature of sports journalism in the modern world is such that every controversial moment is analyzed, reanalyzed, and debated ad nauseum. In the 24-hour news cycle, anything that even remotely resembles a mistake by a referee will be blown out of proportion. This creates a situation where referees are constantly having to defend themselves against the media's relentless microscope. One of the most challenging aspects of the job is the fact that referees are often not allowed to speak publicly about the decisions they make. This leaves them vulnerable to the media's often harsh and one-sided portrayals. While players and coaches can voice their opinions freely, referees are silenced and their decisions are left open to interpretation. This imbalance can make the role of a referee feel like a never-ending battle against unfair criticism. Lack of respect and recognition. It's often said that a good referee is one whose presence on the pitch is barely noticed. While this is true to an extent, it also means that referees rarely receive the credit they deserve. They are expected to maintain the flow of the game, make the right calls, and ensure that the match is played fairly, all without being acknowledged for their hard work. In comparison, players are showered with accolades, praise, and fame. Coaches receive recognition for their tactical acumen, and pundits are revered for their analysis. But referees, they get none of that. The vast majority of fans and media members are more likely to remember a controversial decision than the countless correct calls a referee made during the match. This lack of recognition can make the job feel thankless and disheartening. The physical toll. Refereeing at the highest level requires immense physical stamina. Premier League matches are fast-paced, and referees are expected to keep up with the players while maintaining complete focus throughout the 90 minutes. The demands of running up and down the pitch, often sprinting at full speed, can take a significant physical toll on a referee's body. In addition to the physical exertion, referees also have to be mentally sharp. They need to stay alert at all times, processing complex information quickly while ensuring they are in the right position to make accurate decisions. This mental and physical strain can be overwhelming, especially over the course of a long and demanding season. Technological challenges. While technology such as VAR, Video Assistant Referee, has been introduced to help referees, it hasn't necessarily made their job easier. In fact, VAR has become a source of frustration for many officials. The reliance on VAR to review controversial decisions means that referees are constantly second-guessing themselves. What was once a split-second decision is now subject to lengthy reviews and debates. This adds even more pressure to the already difficult task of making the right call. Furthermore, the technology isn't flawless. There have been numerous instances where VAR has failed to provide clear answers or where decisions have been overturned in controversial circumstances. This has led to an increase in confusion and dissatisfaction among fans, players, and coaches who expect perfection but rarely get it. Inconsistent decision-making. Another challenge faced by Premier League referees is the perceived inconsistency in decision-making. Referees are human, and they inevitably make mistakes. However, the subjective nature of certain calls, such as yellow and red cards, means that one referee might make a decision that another referee would never make. This can lead to frustration and confusion among players and fans who expect uniformity in how the rules are applied. Moreover, the inconsistencies in decision-making often become more apparent when comparing refereeing styles across different leagues or countries. What might be considered a foul in one match could be overlooked in another. This lack of consistency can contribute to the notion that referees are often unpredictable, which only adds to the stress and pressure of the job. Mental and emotional toll. Refereeing at the Premier League level takes an enormous mental and emotional toll. The pressure to perform at the highest level, combined with the constant criticism and scrutiny, can lead to burnout. Referees often experience anxiety, stress, and even depression as a result of the emotional strain they endure. The lack of a supportive environment, coupled with the intense demands of the job, can leave referees feeling isolated and unsupported. The mental and emotional challenges of being a Premier League referee are often underestimated. While players are given rest days and mental health support, referees are expected to simply power through their struggles. This lack of care for their well-being can have serious consequences, both on and off the pitch. The financial aspect. While Premier League referees are compensated handsomely for their work, it's important to remember that their pay comes with a significant price. The stress, physical demands, and emotional toll can often outweigh the financial rewards. In addition, referees are constantly aware that their careers can be short-lived. Injuries, mistakes, or a loss of form can lead to early retirement, making the job feel precarious and unstable. Despite the high salary, many referees must deal with the uncertainty of their future, which can add to the stress of the role. Conclusion. In conclusion, being a Premier League referee is a far more difficult and stressful job than most people realize. From the constant pressure to make correct decisions, the abuse from players and coaches, the scrutiny of the media, and the lack of respect and recognition, referees face numerous challenges on a daily basis. The physical and emotional toll of the job can lead to burnout, while the inconsistencies and mistakes are amplified under the watchful eyes of millions. So, the next time you watch a Premier League match and feel frustrated by a controversial call, remember the immense pressure that the referee is under. Their job is not as glamorous as it seems, and it certainly isn't as easy as it looks. It's a role that requires dedication, resilience, and an unwavering ability to perform under pressure. For all these reasons, it's no wonder that being a Premier League referee sucks. As we continue our exploration into the grueling life of a Premier League soccer referee, it's important to understand that the challenges they face are not just external pressures from fans, players, and coaches. There's also an internal battle that many referees struggle with, and it plays a significant role in why their jobs suck. The mental and emotional toll, the ever-present pressure to perform flawlessly, and the rapid judgment calls that need to be made in the heat of the moment all contribute to making the referee's role far from a dream job. The pressure of maintaining professionalism. One of the most difficult aspects of being a Premier League referee is maintaining professionalism despite constant provocations. Every player, coach, and fan seems to believe they know better than the person on the pitch. And let's face it, while players and coaches can be fiery, it's not just their words that make a referee's job tough, it's their actions too. Players, often caught up in the heat of the moment, will try to manipulate a referee's decision. They'll fall dramatically to the ground, grab their heads in fake pain, or argue every decision, even if it was the correct one. For a referee, these actions aren't just frustrating, they're a direct challenge to their authority. Referees are expected to stay calm, composed, and impartial while facing constant tests of their judgment. One mistake, and their credibility can be forever tarnished in the eyes of the public. And even when they do get a call right, their authority is often undermined by the cynical attitude of players who seem to believe that arguing with the referee is part of the game. It's a job where professional detachment is required, but achieving that detachment, especially with the emotional and mental strain, is nearly impossible. The fatigue factor. It's no secret that Premier League soccer is physically demanding. Worried, the speed of the game, the sheer intensity, and the long hours of officiating can lead to fatigue, not just physically, but also mentally. Referees must sprint across the field, maintain an impeccable sense of timing, and be alert to every move that takes place on the pitch. They can't afford to let their guard down, even for a second, because one lapse in concentration can result in a missed call that changes the outcome of the game. The problem with this constant demand for alertness is that it takes a toll. Referees don't just deal with physical exhaustion, the mental fatigue is often much worse. Staying focused on the game for the entirety of the 90 minutes, or longer if the match goes to extra time or penalties, is mentally taxing. Even after the final whistle blows, referees are required to mentally process the game, review their decisions, and prepare for the next match. They're never truly off the clock, and the weight of that responsibility builds up over time. The fear of making a game-changing mistake. One of the most daunting aspects of being a Premier League referee is the constant fear of making a game-changing mistake. No matter how experienced or well-trained a referee is, there's always the nagging thought that their next call could be the one that costs a team the game, the title, or even a spot in international competitions. A wrong decision in the final moments of the game could lead to an entire stadium of fans booing them, and in some cases, even threatening their safety. The truth is, referees can never escape this fear, and it's amplified by the fact that they are often criticized for what they didn't see. Fans expect perfection, but perfection is virtually impossible in a fast-paced, high-stakes environment like the Premier League. It's a job where professional detachment is required, but achieving that detachment, especially with the emotional and mental strain, is nearly impossible. The speed of the game doesn't give referees the luxury of replaying moments or taking their time to reflect. they must act immediately, and if their call doesn't turn out to be the right one in the eyes of the fans or the media, they will feel the repercussions long after the match is ended. The insanity of media scrutiny. While the Premier League is undoubtedly one of the most prestigious football leagues in the world, it's also one of the most intensely scrutinized. Every match, every minute, and every second is dissected by the media. But while players enjoy their fame, referees are subjected to a level of criticism that is far harsher and more unforgiving. In the world of sports journalism, every decision made by a referee is subject to intense debate and, more often than not, ridicule. The media's role in exacerbating the challenges faced by referees cannot be underestimated. Journalists, pundits, and commentators often take aim at referees with little regard for the human element of their job. They are quick to criticize a referee for a mistake, but they rarely acknowledge when a referee gets it right. If a game features a controversial call, the media will run with it for days, analyzing every angle and giving the public the impression that the referee made a major error, even when the call was within the rules of the game. These media blitzes don't just affect the referee's reputation, they affect their mental health and confidence. No one enjoys being the target of constant criticism, and for referees, the media frenzy can feel like an unrelenting storm that never passes. The lack of support and understanding. Another reason why being a Premier League referee sucks is the lack of support they receive from the wider football community. Players have managers, coaches, and teammates to lean on when things get tough. Coaches can turn to their staff or even take a break to reassess their strategy. But referees, they're often left to handle the pressure on their own. The loneliness of the job becomes especially evident when considering the fact that referees rarely get to interact with the players or the coaching staff beyond the match itself. When the final whistle blows, the players go to the locker rooms, the coaches retreat to their offices, and the media surrounds them. Meanwhile, the referees often walk off the pitch alone, carrying the weight of the game's decisions and the knowledge that they will likely be criticized no matter how well they performed. This isolation can lead to a sense of disillusionment and burnout. Another reason why being a Premier League referee sucks is the lack of support they receive from the wider football community. Players have managers, coaches, and teammates to lean on when things get tough. Coaches can turn to their staff or even take a break to reassess their strategy. But referees, they're often left to handle the pressure on their own. The loneliness of the job becomes especially evident when considering the fact that referees rarely get to interact with the players or the coaching staff beyond the match itself. When the final whistle blows, the players go to the locker rooms, the coaches retreat to their offices, and the media surrounds them, seeking answers. Meanwhile, the referees often walk off the pitch alone, carrying the weight of the game's decisions and the knowledge that they will likely be criticized no matter how well they performed. This isolation can lead to a sense of disillusionment and burnout. Despite that, referees are under immense pressure to be perfect, but there's rarely any acknowledgement of the difficult circumstances they work under. Players and coaches are lauded for their efforts, but the work of the referee is often taken for granted. If a referee has a good game, it's because that's what's expected of them, not because they did something extraordinary. If they make a mistake, however, they're immediately thrust into the spotlight and held accountable for every second of the game. The short career span. Refereeing at the Premier League level is not a lifelong career. Like many elite athletes, referees have a shelf life, and it's often much shorter than people think. While the players on the pitch may enjoy careers that last well into their 30s, referees typically begin to see their performance deteriorate around their mid to late 40s. The physical demands of running across the field and keeping up with the players can take a toll on a referee's body. Even though they may stay mentally sharp, the physical strain and the rapid pace of the game can eventually catch up with them. This reality adds another layer of stress and uncertainty to a referee's job.
With each passing year, the threat of becoming obsolete looms larger. And while referees are often offered other roles within the football world after their playing days are over, it's not the same as being on the field, making decisions that shape the game. The loss of the game can be a difficult transition for many, especially when they've dedicated so much of their life to mastering the art of officiating. Conclusion: the burden of the job. In conclusion, the life of a Premier League referee is far more challenging than many people realize. The pressure to perform perfectly, the constant abuse from players and coaches, the intense scrutiny from the media, and the emotional and physical toll of the job make it one of the toughest roles in sports. Referees are expected to make difficult decisions in real time, all while maintaining their composure, authority, and focus. And for all their hard work, they rarely receive any recognition unless they make a mistake. The job may come with financial rewards, but the sacrifices in terms of mental health, physical endurance, and personal fulfillment can outweigh those benefits. Despite these challenges, referees continue to step onto the pitch, knowing that every match could be their last, and that their job is one that most people wouldn't want to have. Being a Premier League referee may not be as glamorous as it seems, and as we've learned, it's a role that truly sucks in many ways.